If you traveled 200 years back in time and stood on the piece of land where you are now, you might see the views that drew the early settlers here. Looking northward on a clear day, you would see the spiky tops of the White Mountains 50 miles away. A few degrees eastward and much closer is Ragged Mountain, and further east, granite-peaked Mount Kearsarge dominates the landscape. Mount Sunapee is the western landmark of this panorama. Below its wooded slopes was the home of Native Americans who lived on the shoreline of the lake of the same name. You might hear axes biting into evergreens and hardwoods as the farmers cleared the land for their crops and livestock, and the creaking of the horse-drawn wagons, and the voices of worship from the first churches, and the voices of commerce from the first stores. Sounds of New London, founded in 1768, one of the highest towns in New Hampshire, still thriving today. Considered a luxury in the 1800s, horse-drawn carriages were the first form of mechanized transportation to arrive on New London roads. Carriages were often fancy, some partially enclosed by a roof, and variable in size. For longer distance travel, stagecoaches provided travelers with protection from the weather and plush upholstered benches. These coaches carried passengers from as far as Boston and New York to view the majestic local scenery. Those passengers arrived at a town that was focused then, as it is now, on education. The forerunner of today's Colby Sawyer College, the New London Academy, was founded in 1838. Today, that same building houses the town offices. By the mid-1800s, the area featured a lively growth of small industries. The adjoining village of Scytheville, now called Elkins, supported several mills, a tannery, and a factory that was the country's leading manufacturer of a farm tool called the scythe, a mowing blade with a long wooden handle. But times were changing. Technology advanced, and the need for the village's products gradually diminished. Scythes were eventually replaced with tractor-pulled mowing machines, and later automobiles took the place of horse-drawn carriages. Tourism, however, was on the upswing. By the late 1800s, New London and the Lake Sunapee region had become popular destinations for summer visitors. The 32 hotels and boarding houses were crowded during the summer months, and steamships plied the waters of Lake Sunapee to serve the tourist trade. A train coming from Boston dropped passengers off at Newbury Station on the south end of the lake, where they would board a steamer that would take them directly to their hotels, or to Lakeside or Blodgett's Landing. From there, a carriage provided transportation to New London. An alternative journey on the railroad's northern branch took only 4 hours, from Boston to Potter Place. Charles Shepard's Concord coach, here in a scene from a recent video produced by Colby Sawyer students, originally transported guests on the 8-mile trip from Potter Place to New London, where they stayed in hotels such as the Brocklebank, Glen Gay, or the Heidelberg. Room and board for a week, double occupancy, about $7. In 1900, over 1,200 summer boarders registered in New London, and this new industry stabilized the economy. The newly restored Concord coach, by the way, is now housed in this building. Several still prominent features of New London were established during the first half of the 20th century. Colgate Hall, the flagship building of Colby Sawyer College, was completed in 1912. In 1934, a red barn on the other end of Main Street became the home of New London's Summer Theater. The Barn Playhouse still flourishes today. It was in 1954 that a group of residents decided to bring back some of New London's long and rich historical heritage. This vision, to collect and preserve, to educate, and to develop interest in local history, inspired the creation of the New London Historical Society. In 1963, Walter Buckland helped realize the Society's vision by donating a piece of land on Little Lake Sunapee Road. The next acquisition, donated by Maud Swift, was an 1835 cottage used by the shop foreman of the Scytheville factory. Once moved to the Society's village and reassembled, the house became a representation of family life in the 19th century. Other buildings have since been relocated to the property, including 2 barns, 2 schoolhouses, one of which serves as the country store, a blacksmith shop, and a carriage shed. Because of the dedication and support of donors and volunteers of the New London Historical Society, our town now has a place to display the heirlooms that are so much a part of its rich history. We hope that your visit here today will transport you back to the yesterdays of New London.